Welcome gamers! In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to play Tapestry solo using the Automa system. As usual, I assume that you know all the base game rules and how to play the game in multiplayer. So I will not cover the basic rules, only the Automa. Before you set up the game, you have to remove 4 civilization mats. This is the Futurists, the Heralds, the Inventors and the Traders. These cannot be used in a solo game. Also remove some Tapestry cards. This is Age of Sail, Alliance, Coal Baron, Dictatorship, Diplomacy, Espionage, Marriage of the State, Oil Magnate, Olympic Host, Steam Tycoon, Trade Economy and 2 trap cards. Remove these cards from the game before you set up. Then set up the game for a 3-player game using the 1 to 3 players mat and setting up your side as usual. In this case, the human player is yellow, so plays 1 token here, 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 here and here. The only difference is that the starting outposts are always placed on the space 2/4. But you can still use any capital city mat, not only 2 and 4. Then choose a color for the Automa. I suggest blue because the icons for the Automa are bluish in this game. And place the 4 tokens on the 4 starting spaces of the tracks and 1 token on space 0 of the victory point track. And place 2 outposts on the spaces 3/4 on the map. Also remove all of the Automa income buildings and the resource tokens. The Automa will not use them. Then roll the science die and place one of the Automa outposts at the start of the rolled track. This is Automa's favorite track. Then find the 2 civilization cards that are 2-sided and show the 4 civilizations, and choose the one matching the track you rolled and place it on this spot on the top left of the Automa income mat. Next, choose a difficulty level for Automa. Levels range from 1 to 6. When playing level 2, you don't have to change anything because level 2 is already printed on the income mat. For the other levels, there are cards. The level 1 card, which is the same on both sides. If you want to play level 1, just cover this space with this card. Level 3 is this card. Level 4 is this card. If you want to play a higher level, both level 5 and 6 are covered on the back side of the Automa income mat. I'm going to play level 4 because it shows the most icons we have to go through in the income turn. Next, find the Automa decision cards and have a look at the bottom right in the number and find the 7 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, where the number is in a circle. The other numbers are in a square. Shuffle the remaining cards, add 1 card at random and place this deck aside as the progress deck. Shuffle the 8 cards and this is the Automa decision deck. There are also 2 help cards that give you an overview over the icons and some of the actions Automa will take. Just keep them aside. Then take all outposts and 5 player tokens of a 3rd color, I suggest gray, for the Shadow Empire player, which I'll explain in a second. Of those 5 tokens, place 1 on the start of each track and keep this one aside. Then roll the science die again until you roll a different result than the Automa's favorite track. In this case, it's the tech track. And place a Shadow Empire outpost token on the start of this track. This is the favorite track of the Shadow Empire. The remaining outposts you keep aside. As you can see, you're playing against two opponents, the Automa and the Shadow Empire. But the Shadow Empire is very reduced. It cannot win, it doesn't gain any victory points, it just advances on the tracks, it doesn't gain any benefits or bonuses, it only takes landmarks, and the only achievement it can take is the achievement for completing an advancement track. This also means that in gaming turns you are playing a 3-player game with 2 opponents and 2 neighbors. So if any effect or card text refers to the number of opponents, like the chosen ones, for each advancement track you've completed, or where there are no further advanced tokens than yours, gain 1 victory point per opponent. Per opponent means 2 victory points because you have 2 opponents. Then randomly determine your starting player between the Automa and you. The Shadow Empire cannot be the starting player. And you're almost ready to begin. Note that when you're playing on the easiest difficulty level, that you gain a free advance on each of the tracks. On the highest difficulty level, level 6, the Automa will start with a free advance on each track and with an additional random Automa civilization card. And on level 5, it will advance once on its favorite track. And then you're ready to begin. Just like you, Automa will have 5 income turns, and it will start with an income turn, and then will take either income turns or an advance turn. And I'll start explaining the advance turn for the Automa and then for the Shadow Empire. On the Automa turn, you draw 2 decision cards, place 1 to the left and 1 to the right. This forms a pair of cards, and of these cards you only consider the center section here, while this is the track card and this is the tiebreaker card. And then you resolve these icons from top to bottom. The top part shows on which track Automa will advance, and then the bottom part will show on which track the Shadow Empire will advance. Now let's start with the square icon. The square icon means that Automa can advance on all tracks except the ones she already has completed. Since there are usually more than one of these, you go through the tiebreaker list on the right side and you go from top to bottom, that's the blue arrow here, and you choose the first one that is valid. In this case, it's the tag track. If she had already completed the tag track, she'd advance on the exploration track. Note that on this tiebreaker list there is also this heart icon, which means Automa's favorite track, which is in this case science. The next icon is this house icon with a flag, which means that Automa will choose the track where she is closest to either gaining a landmark or reaching the last space of the track. Let's put up an example. Let's say she's here on the science track and she's here on the exploration track. When this icon shows up, she's 1 space away from getting this landmark and 2 spaces away from reaching the end of the track, so she will advance on this track. Again, if there are several tracks in question, go through the tiebreaker list from top to bottom. The third icon is the flag, and this simply means the track where Automa is closest to the end. So in this example, she would advance this track because she's closer to the end than on this track. Of course, we assume that she's not closer to the end on any other track. And this is how you determine on which track the Automa will advance. Now, when Automa advances on a track, first of all, if she reaches a space for a landmark, she takes the landmark and places it on the right side of her faction mat. The next thing you need to know is that Automa never gains any bonuses, so just ignore all bonuses for her. From all the benefit icons on the board, she'll only get benefits from those that are listed on the benefit overview card. If there's an icon that's not shown on this card, just ignore it. If there's a choice between 2 benefits, there's usually only one that is shown on this card, so she'll pick this one. If there's none she can pick, she picks nothing and she gains no benefit. This also applies for all victory point benefits. Automa will never gain victory points for benefits on the tracks. Now let's start with the easiest ones. When Automa gains a Tapestry card as benefit, just take a face-down Tapestry card from the deck and place it beside the Automa mat. When she gains a tech card, she simply removes all 3 tech cards here and refills them. That's all she does. She doesn't collect any tech cards. If she gains a science die roll as a benefit, simply roll the die and advance her on this track. Again, just like in the regular rules, if there's a cross here, she does not gain any benefit. If it's not, she gained the benefit from the track she advanced. Also note that just like you, if she rolls a track where she's already at the end, nothing happens. When she reaches a benefit where she can advance on track of her choice, roll the die until you rolled one of these icons, re-roll until you roll one of those 3 icons, and advance her on her track. Also in this case, if she rolls a track where she's already at the end, re-roll until you roll another track. The same goes for the icon where she regresses on one of these tracks. Simply roll the die until you roll one result shown here, either the military track or the tech track, and then regress her by 1 space. The Automa does not collect territory tiles, but still, if she gains the place territory benefit, she will place a tile, and this will be a random tile from the stack. Check all unexplored territories where she can legally explore, in this case these 3. And if her favorite track is the military track, all of these are valid. To determine which one she eventually picks, you have to look on your tiebreaker card on this icon. This is the hex tiebreaker, and it shows an arrow pointing in this direction, which means you start going through all hexes in these directions. And the first one you hit while going through it is the one she'll pick. In this case, it's this one. She goes here, here, and here. This is the chosen hex. If we had a different one, like this one, you'll start with this row, the black arrow, and go in columns until you hit the first valid spot. In this case, this one. There's a third one, which starts here. So let's take this one. We'll start looking through the valid hexes from here. So this one is the one she chooses, and she'll place her territory tile here. The orientation does not matter because she doesn't gain any benefits or any points from it. Just place it in a random orientation. But if her favorite track is not the military track, she'll choose the hex that is furthest away from all of your outposts. To determine which one is furthest away, we have to talk about distance for a second. For distance, you simply count the squares you need to count to reach the spaces, but you cannot count squares that Automa controls, so you wouldn't count this square. So we have 1, 2, 3 to this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to this one, and 1, 2, 3, 4 to this one. So she'll explore on this space because it's furthest away from our outposts. Let's look at a different example, a situation like this. Automa explores and her favorite track is not military, so she looks for an explorable terrain that is furthest away from our outposts. Now let's mark all explorable terrains. It's all these ones. And now let's count distance. These are obviously 1 space away, 1, 2, 3, 1. And then we have to go around this outpost because we're not counting spaces with outposts. So this is 1, 2 spaces, 1, 2, 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away. So this one is the space furthest away. She'll take a tile from the stack, place it in any orientation, and that's the tile she explored. Again, if there are several territories equally far away, use the tiebreaker to break the ties between the territories. The last benefit Automa can get is the conquer benefit. Now, if Automa conquers, first have a look if there are any of your terrains that she can legally conquer. In this case, it's these 2. Then, if she can still gain the Conquer Middle Island achievement, she will conquer one of your territories closest to the middle island. In this case, it's this one. So she plays one of her outposts and topple yours. Unless, of course, you play a trap card, in which case hers is toppled. Now, if the situation was like this, and she again would take a conquer action, she'll immediately conquer the middle island, because that's the closest territory to the middle island. When she conquers the middle island, she gets the Conquer Middle Island achievement. Now, if she cannot conquer one of your territories, then all hexes where she can conquer are valid, including those that she has to explore first. Like these 4s. All of those are valid hexes for her to conquer. Then have a look at the tiebreaker card. If there is this toppled outpost icon, then all of these territories stay valid. If it's not, if this is empty, then all territories adjacent to yours become invalid. Then for all remaining valid hexes, there's a tiebreaker list that's also listed on the Conquer Neutral action card. And first it says if she still can gain the Conquer Middle Island achievement, then the territories closest to the middle island are the valid ones. In this case, that would be these 2. Now, since she already has this achievement, we go to the next tiebreaker, which says if I still have territories with only one of my outposts, meaning one she can eventually conquer, then only the territories closest to these ones remain valid. The closest ones are 1, 2, this one, and 1, 2, this one. All the other ones are further away. If I don't have any territories that she can conquer, like maybe like this, okay, then she chooses the territories closest to any of the ones I control. In this case, I control these 2, and the closest territory is this one. This one is 1, 2, 3, this is 1, 2. Another example, let's say the situation is like this. She'd still choose the one closest to one of my territories. This one is 2 spaces away, and this one is 2 spaces away. If there are more than one, use the tiebreaker again to resolve the tie. In this case, we start going through the valid ones here, and this is the one that's chosen first. In this case, she places one of her outposts here. If she chose the other one, let's say because the tiebreaker looks like this, she would, before she places her outpost, grab a random territory tile, place it in any orientation here, and then place her outposts on it. So other than you, she can do an explore and conquer action in one. Then again, have a look on your tiebreaker card. If there's no toppled outpost icon here, the action is done. Automa does not gain any benefit from conquering. If there is a toppled outpost icon, take one of the Shadow Empire outposts and place it toppled on the terrain she just conquered. This applies to all terrains except for the middle island. There she wouldn't place a Shadow Empire outpost, so you still have a chance to conquer the middle island. Let's look at another example like this situation, and the Automa gains a conquer benefit. First of all, she cannot conquer one of my territories because she's not adjacent, so she'll go through the steps of the conquer neutral action. All spaces that can be conquered or explored are valid. That's these ones. And we have a toppled outpost icon on our card, which means spaces adjacent to my territories remain valid. Next we have a look if I still have territories with only one outpost, which is here, and then the territory closest to this one remains valid, which is only this one. So she'll place one of her outposts here, and since there's a toppled outpost icon, she'll place a toppled Shadow Empire outpost there. Let's reset this. Let's say there wasn't a toppled outpost icon, which means all territories adjacent to my territories become invalid. These are these two, they're no longer valid. And then we go through the list again. We have a look at the territory closest to the territories where I only have one outpost. This is where I only have one outpost, and the territory closest to this is this territory. She'll place one of her outposts here, and since there is no toppled outpost icon, she will not add a Shadow Empire outpost. Note that for the achievement topple two opponent outposts, the Shadow Empire outposts are ignored. So only once two of your outposts are toppled, Automa can gain this achievement. And this is how an Automa turn works. First, determine the track where she advances, advance her on the track. If she gets a landmark, place it on her mat, and then see if she gets any benefit and resolve it. If she doesn't get any benefit, or if a benefit cannot be achieved, simply ignore it. After her turn, the Shadow Empire will also advance on a track. And the Shadow Empire has the same icons as Automa, just with an S for Shadow Empire and in a gray color. The track determination is exactly the same, except that the Shadow Empire uses the tiebreaker list from bottom to top, as shown by this black arrow. The Shadow Empire is a very reduced opponent, which means it cannot win, it doesn't get any victory points, it doesn't get any bonuses, and it doesn't get any benefits from the track. The only thing it does is advance on the track, and if it reaches a space with a landmark, it gets the landmark and places it on the Automa mat. Also, if it reaches the end of a track, it may gain the complete any track achievement, in which case you'll place the fifth cube on the matching space. After that, proceed to your turn. Now that we covered an advanced turn, let's come to the income turns. Automa will, just like you, perform 5 income turns and start the game with first income turn. And then she'll perform 4 more during the rest of the game. Now, when does she perform an income turn? When you draw the last 2 decision cards, only the last 2, have a look on the left card, and if there is an income icon, ignore everything on the card, do not perform an advanced turn with her, instead she perform an income turn. If there's no such icon, then resolve the card as usual with an advanced turn, and then at the start of the next turn, when there's no cards to draw, this will automatically trigger an income turn for the Automa. During an income turn, you'll go through the level card here, each column from left to right, top to bottom, and perform these actions. Depending on the level you play, the icons will be different, like in level 2 these and these are missing, and sometimes even the numbers in which turn they appear will be different. I'll go through level 4 because this includes all possible icons. First, the Automa and the Shadow Empire will look if they change their favorite track or not. They will change their favorite track if A, they reach the end of the track, or B, if there are any further advanced tokens on the track. In this case, yellow is further advanced, so Automa will change her favorite track. And this will work exactly the same as the tiebreaker with the house and the flag icon, where she chooses among all tracks she hasn't completed yet and looks for the track where she's closest to gaining the next landmark or finishing the track. This is where you'll place this outpost marker to mark it as a new favorite track. In rare cases, this can just lead to the same track being selected again, which is okay. And then do the same thing for the Shadow Empire. If there is a tie between several tracks, just use the tiebreaker of the last pair of cards you drew. Then in the next step, have a look at the last decision pair that was drawn, at the last 2 cards, and perform them again. So the Automa and the Shadow Empire will advance each on 1 track. Next, the Automa will gain the bonus from her civilization card. In this case, playing as the scientist in income turns 3, 4 and 5, she'll roll a die and advance on the track. Note that these are different depending on the civilization she plays. So the explorers look like this, and then we have the engineers and the conquerors. These are pretty straightforward, just follow the text. Then the Automa will gain victory points. For this, have a look at the bottom section here and only at the leftmost exposed column of numbers. And then go through this from top to bottom. The first says, for each landmark, she gains 1 point. Later it's 2, 2 and 3. And for each controlled territory, she gains 1 point. Then for each advancement on the military and the science track, she gets 0 points, later 1, 1 and 2. And for each advancement on the technology and exploration track, she gains 1 point, 1, 2, 3, later. Then the next icon tells you to draw 2 more cards from the progress deck and add it to the Automa deck. As you can see in level 4 this happens twice, but the second time only in income turns 3 and 4. Then draw the top card from the Tapestry deck. This is not from the Tapestry cards she collected, but from the common Tapestry deck, and cover the leftmost spot. If she did the income turn before you, she gained this amount of victory points. 2 for income turn 2, 3 for income turn 3 and 4 for income turn 4. If you did your income turn before her, she doesn't receive this bonus. Then draw another Tapestry card and just add it to the Automa's Tapestry cards she was collecting during the game. And the last icon simply tells you to collect all the cards, including the 2 new ones we added, or 4 in level 4, reshuffle and place them as a new Automa decision deck. And that's the income turn. Automa will proceed taking advanced turns until again the next income turn is triggered, and then she'll use this column for victory points, and then this in her 4th, and this in her 5th income turn, and just like in the regular rules, the 5th income turn will end the game for her. Now we're almost through, just a couple of small things. You realize Automa is collecting Tapestry cards, either through the income turn or through the Tapestry card benefit. And she'll only use them when you conquer one of her territories. Let's say she is here, oh she's here, and you are trying to conquer her territory. In this case, you start flipping over cards until either you'll find a trap In this case, your outpost is toppled just as per regular rules. Or if there's no trap until you reach the end of the deck. All cards revealed are then just simply discarded. Let's have a quick look at the achievements. The Automa can gain all these achievements for first or second completing an advancement track or toppling 2 opponent outposts. Remember, the Shadow Empires do not count as toppled outposts in this case, or conquering the middle island first or second. The only achievement the Shadow Empire can take is completing any advancement track, first or second. And that's it. This is all you need to know to play Tapestry solo against the Automa and the Shadow Empire. And just a quick note, there is a variant for 2 players where you can use only the Shadow Empire as a third player to spice up your 2-player experience. Now, thanks for watching and have fun playing Tapestry.